Hello everybody, welcome to this video on Tutorials Point. Today we are going to discuss on a very important module which is front desk etiquette. Well, before we even begin this particular module, I would want you to ponder over this question. Have you ever been to any company or an organization only to return with a bad experience because of the fact that you were treated not very well by the executive at the front desk, or you were made to wait for a long period of time? Well, if yes, then this is an etiquette module on front desk which I would want you to really watch out for. Well, the agenda today is we will learn certain nitty and gritties on front desk etiquette, defining what front desk is all about, understanding how impressions are made or impressions are broken at the front desk area, components of a desk etiquette, roles and responsibilities which the executive at the front desk must show, telephone etiquette, do's and don'ts with regards to how to handle telephone calls and what not to do. These are certain things, friends, we will talk about in this module today. Well, if we have to define what exactly is front desk according to a dictionary definition, a front desk is any area or an area where the visitors arrive and they have a first encounter with any staff who is at present there. Front office staff will deal with whatever questions the visitor have and take him, or rather show him, an area or the concerned person with whom they have work. Any kind of, broadly speaking, the front desk offers includes roles that affects the revenues of the business. It is at this particular place where impressions are formed and businesses are multiplied for an organization. Hence, I would rather go up and say that front desk is actually the face of the brand. The executive or the representative who's sitting at the front desk is actually the brand ambassador of the company. Well, shocked to hear that? Yes, we always thought the CEO, the MD is the most important person in the organization. Well, they are, but at the same time, the first impression which is created is because of the front desk executive. The way he or she handles the visitors will make an impression or break an impression about the company. Friends, there are certain personality attributes which a front desk executive must show. So let's look at these. Certain personality traits are: the person should be a good communicator. Any person who's calling up at the front desk or visiting the front desk needs to know that the executive will be able to handle their questions with a keen ear. So be a good listener. At the same time, be somebody who's good with communication skills. She should speak well, speak fluent English or any national language that the person is having. Also needs to make sure that the front desk executive is having to keep confidential data of the company to himself or herself. Well, the company people really look up to the front desk executive with regards to confidentiality of data. She has all the numbers, the graphs, etc. of the company, and she should never share this confidential data with anybody from outside the company. She should also, or rather the executive should also show that the executive is reliable, and that particular quality needs to show in that executive's behavior. That person needs to show reliability with regards to body language, with regards to the words that they are using. Also needs to be empathetic. While we talk about empathy, it means to say that the representative should put themselves into the other person's shoes and understand the feeling of the person, and that's important. Should be responsive. Well, reliability and responsiveness go hand in hand, and the executive should show responsiveness by the way he or she is dealing with the particular customer or client. These, my friends, are certain personality attributes that any good executive should have at the front desk area. Well, not to leave out on a very important message that any good front office executive needs to have certain roles and responsibilities, and let's see what they are. The person needs to have good presentation skills. So when we are talking about presentation, the person should be well groomed, should look presentable. The person should have a lot of promptness, and with regards to any kind of area she should or he should look prompt. Courtesy and professionalism, these are four attributes, or rather responsibilities, that any front desk executive should have. Let's look at all of these four in some detail now. The front desk executive or representative should look presentable. While we are saying presentable, they are also meaning to say that person who is there should always have a pleasant atmosphere. The front desk area is the area where impressions are created first, and hence the atmosphere should not be negative but should be pleasant. Magazines, newspapers, any kind of brochures or pamphlets should be neatly arranged in a particular tray or a newspaper stack. Needs to know that everything should not be flying here and there. There should not be any kind of litter in the front desk area. One particular office boy and one front office executive should always be present at the front desk area. Well, the front desk area should not be overcrowded by people, but at the same time, people should be there around to help the visitors in case they need any help. Reception area must have enough seats to accommodate any new visitor coming in. It's important that you do not let people stand while they are waiting. Good to offer them a chair, and hence the particular area should have enough amount or sufficient amount of chairs and sofa sets to accommodate anybody coming in. Moving on to promptness, any particular front desk executive needs to show promptness in the way they handle the customer. If a customer has come in or if a visitor has come in, they need to show promptness in the actions. The body language should not show any kind of lethargy or any kind of carelessness. Need to be prompt with regards to words used. If you have told a customer that you will get back to them, please do so. But always make sure that you're prompt in your words and action. That creates a lot of milestones for a front desk executive. Not important yet again to say that courtesy is the most important criteria or a responsibility which a front desk executive should have. He or she who is there at the front desk must never forget to use the golden words which are please, thank you, I apologize, I'm sorry, may I please. These are important words, and trust me folks, the more you use these words, the better it is for the organization. The professional aspect is very important for a front desk executive. Professionalism is something that reflects in the clothing you wear, the attire that you have. So a front desk executive needs to look good, needs to look presentable, needs to look professional with the kind of clothes he or she is wearing. Only and only formal attire should be worn. Right from the head to the tip of the toe, it's important that they wear proper footwear, they wear a good cologne or a deodorant. They should look good and present themselves well. And that is with regards to professionalism. Also to understand that not only their clothing and attire, but the way they greet the customer, a handshake, a smile, all these are important aspects of a front desk executive. Well, the most important part which a front desk executive or representative needs to have is telephone etiquette. Can't really understand or can't really say how much important it is to have good etiquette, because the way the person handles a phone call can make or break an impression of a company or an organization. So we will now discuss every time you make or receive a phone call at work, remember that you are representing your brand, your company, your brand ambassador of that particular place. So make sure that you always have a smile on your face whenever you're picking up the call. Certain do's and don'ts which we will now discuss with regards to telephone etiquettes. Let's see that. The person who is picking up the call, the executive, needs to have a warm greeting. And it's important to know that your voice should reflect a lot of energy and enthusiasm. Always have a warm greeting. Introduce yourself with your name, your company, and how may I help you. That's a way to greet a particular person. Always have a pleasant voice. The executive should not use a very dull or a boring voice, but have a pleasant voice which people would want to listen to and not go off to sleep by hearing that. Jot down important things, and hence it's important that the executive should always have a notepad and a pen ready to jot down any kind of important information that the customer or visitor is telling her over the phone, so that the executive does not have to ask them to repeat themselves. That would not look very professional now. Using good voice modulation is important, and an executive who is handling a phone needs to modulate her voice well. Body language, again, though a customer or visitor cannot see the executive on the phone, but through the voice also body language really shows, meaning if you're sitting in a lethargic manner or posture is not very correct, at the same time it reflects in the voice. Hence, the executive should always have an upright posture and a positive body language. Energy and enthusiasm, as we have mentioned before, is something very essential for an executive to have. Well friends, these are do's. Now let's understand certain don'ts of telephone etiquette for an executive. If there are do's, there have to be don'ts, and let's understand what these don'ts are. Do not put the caller on hold forever. If they have asked for a particular person and the person is not available, it's important to get back to them by telling them that the person is not there. Don't put them on hold and forget about them. So it's important to not put them on hold forever. Always make sure that you are not using negative words or phrases and using casual language. If you want to use a yes, please use yes and not yeah, which is again a very casual language. Make sure that you really brush up with your language skills whenever you're talking to a customer. Do not ever use casual language with them. It's important to be mindful of your voice, your tone, your pitch. They should not be loud. It should not look like you're screaming at someone on the phone. At the same time, you should not speak very low also that the person cannot hear you. So medium voice, tone and pitch is what I would suggest. And ensure that there is less of background noise. Now, there are certain noise you cannot do anything about, but whatever is under your control, make sure that there is no clutter or there is no noise in the background whenever you're talking to any particular customer or visitor. Well, we have to now understand with regards to telephone etiquette how a front desk executive needs to do certain things like answering calls, putting the callers on hold, transferring the calls and ending the call. We will now use certain examples to showcase the same. So if the executive has to answer the call, she needs to or he needs to answer with a lot of energy, enthusiasm and have a smile on the face, introducing themselves, introducing the company and asking how may I help you, sir. Putting the callers on hold, the executive should use the particular line saying that, sir or madam, may I request you to put your call on hold for a little while and then I will get back to you with the concerned thing. Well, it's important that the executive should always seek permission and not just put the callers on hold at the whims and fancies. Request for permission and then do the needful. Transferring call, well, the executive should take the permission again of the person who's on the call by asking, sir, I need to transfer your call to the concerned person. May I do so? Well, it is important at the same time that you inform the person to whom you are transferring the call regarding certain details of the caller so that the caller is not put at any kind of lumberhug. It's important to end the call. Now, as the executive had started the call with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, in the same manner she needs to or he needs to end the call with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. So they can say something like, sir, it was a pleasure speaking with you, have a great day. And that's how he or she can end the call. Now friends, there are certain messages at times that the executive might have to give to the caller, and it's important not to use original phrases which are mentioned here. So let's understand, if the concerned person has to say he or she is out, the executive should rather say, sir or madam, the concerned person is not at the seat. May I take a message for him or her? If the executive has to say something like he or she has not come in yet, she can use the line by telling the caller, ma'am or sir, the concerned person has just called up saying that they will be in a few minutes from now. In the meantime, may I take down a message from them? And the last, if he or she does not wish to be disturbed, you need to tell the caller that, ma'am or sir, they are in a meeting right now and they wish not to be disturbed. In the meantime, can I jot down your name and contact number and ask them to call you back? Well friends, it's important to be mindful of the kind of language you use and the kind of tone that you use whenever you're talking to callers, because impressions are formed. This brings us to the end of our module today. Well, I do hope you have understood all that you need to know about front desk executive, or rather front desk etiquette, and we hope that you have enjoyed listening to us as much as we have enjoyed teaching you about this particular module. Thank you very much.